Okay, everyone, welcome back to Inspirational Journeys. And if you love clean young adult romantic suspense with a bit of supernatural elements involved in it, then today you have come to the right place because my special guest, Louise Davis, and I are going to be talking about her writing process, her debut novel, and the fact that it's just in time for the Halloween season is going to be really cool. As you're hearing this, it will be launching today, so be sure to go out and get your copy. So, and before I prattle on too much, one thing I wanted to make note of is if you're hearing a lot more episodes than what I was doing earlier this year when I told you I was taking a step back or scaling back, well, I have actually gotten um Podmatch has become more accessible, so it's becoming a good service to use now for podcast hosts and guests looking for podcasters. And not only that, I've actually been connecting with people since I was at the Write His Answer conference. I've been connecting with people there and some of my authors through Celebrate Lit that I've published. I'm not published, I'm sorry, that I have edited and have been published. Their books launched. So I will be talking to a couple of those people. So I've got quite a few interviews coming up, and I've got some ideas for some solo topics too. So the podcast is picking up a bit. Just wanted to let you guys know that. So now, without further ado, welcome to the show, Louise.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And thanks for letting me prattle for a minute.
No worries.
So why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners and the viewers?
Okay. I am Louise Davis. I am a writer, an avid reader. I'm a mom, a wife, and mom of five boys, so they keep me busy. And yeah, I love herbal tea, chocolate, the ocean, and animals. I'm always trying to bring animals home. My husband
Wow.
is always telling me no.
So, how did you know when you were called to write?
So that is always a hard question for me because I feel like I have had stories in me since I can remember. So I was having my mom write down my stories and staple books together for me before I could even write. And I was that kid on the school bus that would stare out the window. I'm making up my own imaginary stories on the way home from the bus. So they've always been with me. And I took creative writing in college. And then life happened. I had kids, I got married, and I kind of just put it on the back burner. But the main climax scene in Haunted by You, um, at the near the end of the book, I actually wrote in one of my creative writing classes in college. And I knew it was not finished. And so it's been just sitting, taking up space in my head forever, wanting to get finished. And so finally in 2020, I finally decided to finish it. And here it is.
Wow. So, this is a true debut for you,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool. So, um, what was the inspiration behind the book itself?
So it started from a writing prompt in my creative writing class. And I wrote this really intense scene. And then it kind of sat, like I said, for quite a while. And then by the time I picked it up, a lot of things had happened to me in my life, including my father passing away. And so when I pulled Haunted by You back up, I knew that I wanted it to go much deeper than I had originally planned. Um, I wanted to really help people understand, these connections we have with people, they're important. And really, one of the biggest things that I think I try to get across in the book, and hopefully I do, is that it's the little moments that truly matter in life. It's not the big, grand moments, it's all the little moments
Hmm.
um, that make up everything that's important.
Wow. So, did you read a lot when you were a kid?
Yes, I've always been a very avid reader. I read all the time. As soon as I finish one book, I pick another one up, and I've been like that my entire life.
So, tell me about your writing process. Did you outline this or did you pants it? Or
So I originally was trying to be a pantser, and it was not going very well. which I should have known from the first part because I'm a very organized person. Um, so I was struggling and it just wasn't going how I wanted it to. So I decided to hire a writing coach, and I hired Ashley Mansour. It was the best thing I could have done. It was like having my own little personal cheerleader there for me. And she taught me her TAP method, which is an outlining method. Um, and so once I got that down, it was smooth sailing after that. I mean, always editing and revision is always kind of
Hmm.
stressful, but getting that first draft down with her method, it really, really made it a lot easier.
So tell me, so for those of us who don't know what that is, what is the tap method?
So it's her. She created this tap method, and it helps you learn how to outline your book. And she actually says that anybody can write a book in um, 90 days with her tap method, which was true for me. Mine, I actually wrote my first draft in 18 days with the method. So yeah, I took a whole class with her to learn about it, and it's a really, really good method to really get your book structured and ready to go before you actually start writing.
Ah, is tap an acronym for
Yeah.
something?
Um, time, I'm forgetting the middle one. But P is process.
Hmm.
Goodness, I'm gonna have to remind myself of what the A is.
Yeah, because that's interesting. But because I know there's so many different methods out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you went through Morgan James to get it published.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Are they a hybrid publisher, traditional publisher?
Yes, they are hybrid. So I'm in charge of all of my editing and everything before I send it off to them, and then they take over design and marketing and distribution.
Oh, okay. I was because I've seen other books published by them. I didn't know what you know what would their style, what kind of publisher they were. Yeah, I'm trying. I don't normally struggle because I don't script, but yeah, lost for words for a second.
You're good.
So yeah, is there anything that you would want readers to walk away from the book with?
Yes. Um, just really a, a oh my gosh, now I'm struggling with words. um, yeah, just that, like I said before, that the relationships that we have in life are really important, and then those small moments, um and that really, like, no matter, because there's some really crappy things that happen to my characters, and they learn how to get through them and overcome them and still try and see the good in the world.
Right. And wow. I know, can't words today. Um, so do you have any tips or things that you've learned that have helped you along the way?
Yes. So one of my favorite things to say that I think really helps with my writing is just to read as much as you can, because as you're reading, you will see what styles you like and which ones you don't. And I always like to say that I can never read a bad book, because even if it's a book that I don't necessarily like, I learned something that I don't want to do in my own writing.
And what would that be?
Just what just whatever. If there's a book that I didn't necessarily like, I can see what they did in that and how they were writing, and try not
Oh,
to
I see.
repeat it.
Right. I see. You use them as models.
Yeah,
And you use them like the books as models to
like research.
example. Yeah. And that's what my friend and author coach talks about all that time is get the books that are you need to read in your lane because you can use these
Yeah.
books as models. I get that. I get that. Yeah. So what inspired you to write for the K-12 for a
I have
K-12
always
audience?
I just really, really like young adult. It's, it's simpler. and I like the stories. I do read adult books too, but I just have always been a big fan of young adult. I started reading young adult when I was younger, and I still like to read young adult.
Yeah, and I like the fact that this one is clean because there are some young adults out there that are not, and even some middle grade that are not the cleanest in the world. And I think our kids today need these clean reads, and I do
Yeah.
appreciate that. Even there's a little spooky in there, but that you can get clean spooky too.
Yeah. I tried to make it not too scary, but there are some, and it's real life ghost stories. All of those ghost stories I researched, they're real ghost
Ah,
stories from Charleston. So,
wow. I was gonna ask that was gonna be my next question because I'm like, oh, how in the world did you discover those? So those are researched ghost stories.
yep, they are real ghost stories.
Now,
So,
the tours that your characters talk about in the books, and I don't want to spoil it too much, especially since I haven't finished it myself. But hey, I'm here. I'm willing to admit that I'm working on it. But are those real tours or those fictionalized?
yes, there are several different companies in Charleston that do ghost tours. And actually, um, you probably have already gotten to this one tour, but the main idea of this came from a ghost tour. I went on a ghost tour of the old Charleston jail,
Ah, the
city
haunted
jail.
jail. Yeah.
And anyway, so that was what made me want to put the ghost tours and ghost stories into the book.
Hmm. And how do those stories relate to the main story of your book? I'm curious. Or maybe that's a spoiler. I don't know.
No, well, I will leave some spoilers out. It does tie back in a little bit later. So in my book, there's a lot of different. It's called Haunted by You, and there's a lot of different hauntings going on. So Genevieve and Steve are the main characters. Steve is haunted by his tragic past of what happened with his family, and Genevieve's dad is being haunted by his past that has come back for in the form of someone blackmailing him about his past. So he's being haunted from the actual past, but also from right now, getting
Yeah.
haunted by someone he doesn't know who it is. But then I also wanted to throw in actual hauntings. So Steve, that's Steve's job in the book is he gives the ghost tours. And so that's how Steve and Genevieve meet is on a ghost tour. And so the ghost tours are just kind of thrown in all along just to get that little bit of spooky in there, but also brings them together. And I won't spoil how it comes back in the end either.
No, don't spoil it. But as a reader, I'm wondering why does Genevieve's dad keep telling her not to worry about his blackmailing? Of course she's
I
gonna
know,
worry about
right?
it. Yeah, that's a reader thing that I love. And me being an editor in training, when you plant those questions in my head, I'm like, oh yay. Your editor helped you out a lot.
Yeah. That's one good thing about really extensively outlining before you start writing. I can kind of fix my plot holes before I start writing, which
Ah.
obviously I still have to fix a lot during editing. I'm not saying that it takes that away. There's always tons to do in editing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does help you see the overall plot and make sure there's no big plot holes before I started writing. So that made it a lot easier.
Personally, I am not that heavy of an outliner. If I'm going to outline, I might as well start writing it.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I'm a plantser or plotser. I plot a little, pants a little. Merciful heavens, I can't
That's
words
awesome.
today. Um,
Well, I do have my outline and I do follow my outline, but still I give myself a little bit creative freedom and my characters do they will end up doing something that diverts it just a little bit. So I do let myself pant a little bit within my outline because in my outline, I know like the main points that are going to happen, but I don't really know what the characters are going to be saying and doing in those things. So my characters do take me for
a
little
wild ride.
detours sometimes.
Oh yeah, did they talk to you, or or does it play out like a movie?
Yeah, it plays out like a movie. And actually, one of the funnest things that happened to me while writing this book was um, so in my first round of developmental editing, I actually used to have three point of view characters. One of them was Tony, Genevieve's dad.
Hmm.
And they told me that to make it more marketable, I needed to remove Tony so it would really market to the YA because he was an adult. Anyway, so that was really hard because Tony was who's getting blackmailed. So he was getting all the information directly about the blackmail. Um, I had to figure out how to get that all into two teenagers' point of views, which was
Wow.
difficult because some of the stuff that he's dealing with is like classified information. So that was really hard. And there was one, you haven't gotten there yet. There's one part that I was really struggling um, trying to figure out how Genevieve was going to get this information. And I actually figured it out while I was sleeping. I had a dream, and in my dream, I was in a room with all of my characters, and we were all brainstorming how to get through this plot hole. And it was actually Genevieve, the main female character, who figured it out. And I sat up in bed and I was like, oh my goodness, I know how to fix it. Wrote
Yep.
it down.
Oh yeah, I get that too. Oh yes, you and I are so, you have so much because I get that too. My characters talk to me in dreams or show me things in dreams, and sometimes there'll be ambient bits of a dream that don't make any sense,
Yeah.
but it's through the mist, the mosh pit of all the stuff that's surrounding it that you find the golden nuggets.
Yep. Very
Yeah.
true.
So where can people find you online?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I have a website. My website is just louisedavisbooks.com. My Instagram is also Louise Davis Books, and Facebook is just Louise Davis.
Okay, so what are you currently working on? Is this going to be a series or a standalone or?
Yes. So it is going to be three books.
Oh,
Um, I am uh, in the middle of writing book two. I have 11 chapters left to finish my first draft.
oh, good.
So it should be releasing next October.
Oh,
I'm already
cool.
under contract for it. So yeah, there's three sisters in Haunted by You. So there will be three books. Each book
Oh,
will be each sister's love story.
Genevieve, then Connie and
Violet. So
Violet.
this
Yeah.
one's Genevieve. Book two is Violet. So I've been in Violet's world this last little while.
Oh, yeah. I definitely want to see that because um, Violet has some. I've discovered. I mean, just by her lack of communication at times and her not saying too much, I have a feeling she's got a story to tell.
Yeah, she does.
Okay. So, any last words that you would like to share with the audience before we close?
Um, Man, that's a tough question. Sorry.
I didn't mean to put you on the
Happy
spot there, but
reading. Read, read,
yes.
read.
Oh, one more question
Okay.
because I just thought of, and I was thinking about this and I'm like, where do I put this in? So, since we are coming up on the National Novel Writing Month challenge, are you going to participate?
I I was going to, but with my deadline, I needed to have my draft pretty much already written before November. So, like I said, I'm only 11 chapters away, but I will be editing book two during November, but it won't actually be writing.
Ah,
Well, I might be finishing writing if I don't get it done before.
well, you
Like
could
you
still, I
said,
mean, you could still
launch date.
do it and do like your editing and the way I figured it out because I'm going to be editing my middle grade. 1 hour
Awesome.
is 1,000 words.
Oh,
That was
there
my,
we go.
yeah, that was kind of my thing. And you come up with your own, but I wasn't going to do it. And then it's like, God, and I'm gonna put it this way. God just says, wait a minute, why don't you do it this way? And then I actually did a little bit of research with my Amazon Echo and said about how many words can a person get in an hour, and it says according to oh gosh, I think it was Pro Writing Aid or one of the websites, 1,000 people can bang out about 1,000 words in an hour. So I'm like, yeah, Ding, 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 ding.
That's
And I can
perfect.
use my old project, one of my old projects, and yeah. So if you haven't, for those of you listening and watching, if you haven't um decide if you're still on the fence about doing NaNoWriMo or participating, I would encourage you to do that and find a method that works for you. Because if you're editing, you can track it. An hour equals, however many words you would actually write in that hour. Or if you are, gonna write, and if you don't make the fit, you keep track of your words. If you don't reach 50,000, that's okay. Because in my book, no matter how many words you get during the month of November, you're still a winner because it's more words than you probably would have gotten otherwise. So,
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, um I'll definitely be doing my editing during
yeah,
November. So I will
think
count
about it.
that. I'll
Yeah.
be hopefully doing my big giant first developmental edits. So
Yeah,
it'll
and
be
so you'll probably be adding words anyway.
yeah, for sure. Because I always have to rewrite, you know, sections, add more detail.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I will be writing, just not
Not your first draft, but you can
yep.
still count the words that you added.
Yes, perfect.
So that's just this gives you something to think about.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we challenge you today to go out there and read to get inspired, write something inspiring, and share your creation with the world. For when you've touched one life, you've touched thousands. I also challenge you to go out and pick up "Haunted by You" by Louise Davis, because this is a nice story in time for spooky season. And if you love a good clean young adult histor not historical, clean young adult romantic suspense, this is the book for you. So thank you for joining us on Inspirational Journeys today. And remember, folks, your story matters. Have a blessed day, and I will see you next time for the next episode. Take care, everybody, and God bless.